You want to hear something crazy? My ex-boyfriend, Mike, he literally dumped me after I asked for an open relationship. But he's telling everyone it was because of all this other stuff. You know. And honestly, I feel like a lot of what he's saying isn't the full picture. My name is Mo and I'm 30. It just feels like I wasted 7 years of my life. And I don't want it to just disappear without me getting to tell my side of the story. I honestly never thought I'd be the type of person to send an email like this. But I came across this channel and it just felt like a sign. I watched some of your other videos where people tell their experiences and I thought, if they can, maybe I can too. I don't know if this will ever get on the channel, but I just need to get this all out. Because maybe my story will help somebody else out there avoid the mistakes I made. Or at least recognize the red flags that I totally, ignored. I just can't believe he could just throw me out like that. I met Mike back in 2016. I was 23 and working this little retail job. He came into the store one day with some of his buddies, and I remember thinking that he wasn't even the best looking guy in the group. But he had this confidence about him. He just had this something that drew me in. He asked me for my number, and I was, totally flattered. We started texting and hanging out, and within a few weeks, we were seeing each other regularly. By the end of that summer, we were exclusive. At least that's what I thought. It's not like I was perfect in those early stages, but who is, a year into being with him? I was still kind of talking to another guy on Facebook. It wasn't anything serious. It was just, a rebound thing I had with him. And yes, we did sleep together a couple of times before I completely cut it off. It was just a little secret I had, and I didn't see the harm in it because I was still new to this whole thing with Mike. I mean, he and I weren't even living together. We were still in the early stages, and people keep their options open. Everyone knows that. I'm not proud of it, but it also wasn't a big deal. I mean, I completely cut it off with that other guy once I knew I was all in for Mike. I ended things and I truly never messed around again after that. But here's the thing. Mike only found out about it because he logged into my Facebook messages behind my back. He snooped. I didn't tell him. I probably would have if it came up. But I didn't just volunteer the information. He confronted me with screenshots and everything. And we had this huge fight. I cried. I apologized. I told him it was over with that guy. And I meant it. I truly never messed around again after that. But even though I stayed completely loyal to him for the rest of our relationship, it was like he never forgave me. He always brought it up during arguments. Anytime I did something he didn't like, he'd throw it back in my face. It was just so annoying. I was always the one who was trying to move on, but he was always the one who was holding on to the past. It was like he was scorekeeping. He would make these mental tallies of all my mistakes and use them as leverage during our disagreements. He was always so passive-aggressive about it. 2, he wouldn't just, say what he was mad about. He would just make these little subtle digs disguised as jokes, and I'd just have to sit there and take it. It was like he was always punishing me for one little mistake I made when we were still in the talking stage. Fast forward a few years, and we were still together. I even moved states for him. I left my whole family and all my friends behind in Michigan and came all the way to Kansas because I thought he loved me. I thought he was going to marry me. But the proposal never came. Year after year. Holiday after holiday. Birthday after birthday. No ring. I was patient at first, but after 5 years, I started to feel like I was wasting my time. 7 years in, I felt so humiliated. How can you date someone for that long? Live together, share your life with them, and never commit? It was like he was a relationship hostage taker. He would make all these promises about our future, but he never had any intention of following through. It was just an effort minimizer. I mean, the whole thing was so frustrating. I was giving him my all, and he was giving me nothing. He was just so checked out. He would just sit there, all disengaged and emotionally distant. And it would make me so mad. And then, here's the kicker. I had just officially moved in with him. I'm talking 2 days before everything blew up. I was trying to prove to him that I was serious about our future together. I had moved all my stuff from Michigan, and I was so excited to start our lives together. But instead of being supportive, the first thing he told me was that if I wanted to stay there, I'd be responsible for the electric and water bill. I'd been there for 48 hours, and he was already putting conditions on me living with him. It was just so ridiculous. I should have seen the writing on the wall right then. I should have realized that he was just using me for free labor and not really committed to me. One night, we were having this casual conversation about relationships, marriage, and all of that, out of frustration and maybe even desperation. I made this stupid comment about wanting an open relationship. I wasn't serious. I thought maybe it would wake him up. Maybe he'd finally realize that I was tired of waiting for him to commit and propose. I thought it would make him fight for me. Or at least think, damn, I could lose her. But instead, he completely flipped. He didn't take it as a joke. He told me to pack my things and get out of his apartment. 2 days after moving in, I was suddenly homeless. It was just so unfair. He had been so passive-aggressive for so long, and now that I finally stood up for myself, he was just throwing me out like trash. It was like he was a history rewriter, trying to change the narrative of our entire relationship to fit his current needs. I had nowhere to go, so I ended up crashing at the neighbor's place. I thought it was just going to be for the night. He offered me the couch, and I was exhausted, so I went to sleep. But when I woke up in the middle of the night, I realized the guy was fully nude and rubbing my leg. I freaked out. I hit him, shoved him off me, and ran out screaming for Mike. I thought he would save me, I thought he would realize that he was wrong for kicking me out and that he would come to my rescue. But when I told him what happened, he didn't believe me. He said he was sure I slept with the neighbor, that it was convenient for me to run to another man's arms the minute we broke up. To make it worse, the neighbor lied and said we did have consensual sex. He even said he'd take a lie detector test to prove it. I was just completely devastated. Not only had I been kicked out, but now I was being called a liar on top of it. He was a gaslighting expert, making me question my own sanity and perceptions. He just made me feel like I was crazy for even thinking that he would believe me. He just wanted to use this as a way to prove that I was unfaithful. It was all a game to him. He was a convenience apologist, only apologizing when it was beneficial to him and shifting the blame to me. I had nowhere to go, so my mom had to drive all the way from Michigan to pick me up. I felt like such a failure, like a little kid who couldn't handle her own life. She brought me back home with her, and that's where I am now. Meanwhile, Mike wasted no time, literally within days. He was already on Facebook in a new relationship. He was so validation-seeking, posting relationship highlights while ignoring our real problems. I'm just so angry. I'm angry that I gave 7 years of my life to someone who never really loved me. I'm angry that he punished me forever for one mistake I made in the first year. I'm angry that he could just throw me out like trash and replace me so easily. And honestly, I'm angry at myself, too, for waiting around, for ignoring the signs, for thinking things would change when they never did. He was a reformed wild boy who was now overcorrecting and trying to be this perfect, good guy, but he was really just so insecure. He was a comparison creator, subtly comparing me to others to make me feel inadequate. I still feel like I wasted years, but maybe if people hear my story, I won't feel like it was all for nothing. I had to go back to Kansas with my brother to pick up the rest of my things. That drive felt 10 times longer than the drive my mom and I made. With my mom, I was a heartbroken daughter trying to retreat back home. With my brother, I felt like a warrior heading back into battle. I kept replaying everything in my head. The years with Mike, the fights, the disappointment, the humiliation of being kicked out, the neighbor incident, and his new Facebook girlfriend. When we finally got to the apartment, my stomach was in knots. I just wanted to get my things and leave. But Mike was already outside, leaning against his car with his arms crossed, trying to look calm and unbothered. But I knew him. He was tense. I could see it in the way his jaw was clenched. He was so passive-aggressive, trying to act like he didn't care. But I knew he was just trying to get a reaction out of me. My brother got out of the car and walked over with me. Mike immediately narrowed his eyes at him. "You needed backup," he sneered. My brother shot back. "She's not dealing with you alone." Right then, I knew this wasn't going to go smoothly. We went inside, and to my surprise, most of my stuff was still there, but it was thrown around carelessly, like he had no respect for it. My clothes were in trash bags. My boxes were half open, and some things looked broken. I started gathering what I could, and my brother began helping me carry boxes to the car. That's when Mike started with the comments. "Funny how you didn't need him when you were sneaking around with other guys. Wonder if your new boyfriend appreciates the free furniture. She's been lying since day one. Man, good luck babysitting her." Each comment was like a knife. I tried to ignore him, but my brother doesn't have that kind of patience. After about the third or fourth jab, my brother snapped. He turned around and got in Mike's face. "You don't talk to my sister like that," he said. Mike smirked and said, "Or what?" That was all it took. My brother shoved him. Mike shoved back. Next thing I knew, they were swinging at each other in the living room. Furniture got knocked over. A lamp broke, and I screamed at both of them to stop. It was chaos. 2 grown men fighting like teenagers while I stood there crying, trying to pull them apart. We finally got the rest of my things out while still exchanging glares and harsh words. Mike stood in the doorway with that smug look on his face. He didn't apologize. He didn't ask me to stay. He just stood there, arms crossed like he'd won. But in that moment, I realized something. I wasn't the loser. He was the one who couldn't forgive, couldn't grow, and couldn't love me the way I deserved. And I'm the one who's completely alone now, with no one to blame but myself. I'm back in Michigan, and I'm still trying to put the pieces of my life back together. But I can't. He's moved on, and I'm just here, stuck in the past, replaying everything in my head, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's like all my friends secretly talk about me, and they agree with Mike and that new girlfriend of his. They think I'm the problem. I'm just so lost, and I don't know what to do. I have no one now. My whole life is in shambles because of one mistake I made years ago, and he's just out there, living his best life, and it just feels so unfair. I can't escape this. I'm just completely isolated and alone, and I have no one to blame but myself.